Hey everybody, what's going on? This is Brian Skeel, and I wanted to really just have a discussion today. I know that all these other YouTube channels that do pro audio and mixing and sound design stuff have these discussion type episodes, but they wait until way later in the season and they're special and they have a one-off. So I'm kind of breaking a couple rules by doing it this early on. If you don't dig that, that's fine. Just wait until next week. We'll have another tutorial, you know, inside Pro Tools or Reactor or whatever I'm doing. But this week what I want to do is I want to touch a little bit on a subject that I mentioned in the last video, which was having writer's block and inspiration problems. So a little bit about where I'm coming from. For about a year, I was working 60, 70, sometimes even 80 hours a week. I do mixing here in the studio, I do composition, I write music for movie trailers and that sort of thing. But for about a year, I was also the head sound engineer for a local music venue. And it was great, it was fun, but I was working a lot during the week, and I have a family here. I have a great wife and a fantastic 1.5-year-old son named Parker, and I found that I didn't really have the time, the energy, or even the motivation to write. And this was a huge problem for me because I find the most joy in writing and composing. So I wanted to find a way to get the energy back and get myself in a mental state where I don't have that kind of writer's block or even motivation block. So I was recommended a book by a friend of mine named David Puckett from the band For Today. It's called The Power of Full Engagement, and at first glance it looks like some crap you'd see on an infomercial, but I guarantee you this book is really cool. So last week I went on vacation and we went to Minnesota because there's nothing there. And we went to a cabin, we were surrounded by woods, and there was a lake at the bottom of the yard, and it was wonderful. We didn't have any internet, we didn't have any TV, nothing. It was a complete unplug, and it was exactly what I needed, having just come out of this 70-hour-a-week work extravaganza nonsense. It was perfect. So I picked up this book, and one of the first things that really resonated with me was how stress is like a muscle, and you have to work it out the same way you would a muscle group at the gym. So if you go to a gym and you decide it's arm day and you do curls, you do the curls until you start to feel that burn, right? That's that muscle tearing down. The building of that muscle takes place during your rest period. So you don't work on that muscle again until it's fully healed. And that's how muscle growth works. The same is true for stress. You give yourself just enough to do so that stress muscle starts to become stretched a little bit. You tear that stress muscle just enough, and then you recover. This is called oscillation. And what I mean by that is that you're oscillating between working and resting, working and resting. Having all that work to do with no rest is like going to the gym and consistently working on that muscle group. You're not going to see any growth. You're not going to see anything build because you're constantly tearing at that muscle. So that's exactly what I did. We went to Minnesota. We unplugged. I didn't work at all. I didn't even answer emails during that week. And I brought a laptop and, a brand new Akai MPK Mini, and decided, maybe I could try to write something, and I did, and it was music that I'd never thought I could write before because my mind was absolutely clear. I didn't have anything bothering me in the back of my head of, I gotta get that mix done for the client today, or I gotta connect with this band for tonight's show. My mind was free, and I could work on music, and I did, and the creativity flowed, and the motivation was there for me to be creative. So I'm gonna keep this short and just say that if you're overworking yourself, make sure that you have time for that stress muscle to recover and rejuvenate and rebuild. So action time. I decided that I'm going to make sure that I rest during the day. And I'm going to make sure that I have at least one day off, because when I was working 70 hours a week, I didn't have that luxury. And that's why I didn't have that motivation. So my new goal is work stops at 5. I pick up the kid, have a grand old time, hang out with my wife when she comes home, then eventually read an hour of fiction, just something I can dive into and forget about all the work I did for that day, or maybe play a video game for an hour. But this is to make sure that I hit that oscillation. So I did that work during the day. Now it's time for me to recover. So I'm gonna do that for a couple weeks and then I'll get back to you and we'll see if it's still working. I also want to hear from you. If you have any tips on how to maintain that creativity when you're mixing all day, I'd love to hear from you. Just go ahead and post something in the comments section. Let me know what you think. If you have any really great tricks that have worked for you over the years, I'd love to hear them. I'd also love to hear what you think about the content of this video. If you think it's cool, please let me know and I'll do my best to keep doing stuff like this. I love these discussion-based video blogs. If you'd rather I do more stuff inside, FM8, doesn't matter. Let me know. I'd love to hear what you find interesting, and this helps me to build a library of, here's some videos I can do for you. So let me know what you think. Subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you on the next video. Have a good one, everybody.